What's up, everybody? I hope everybody's having a great day out there. And for this video here, I'm actually trying something a little bit different. It's something new that I want to bring to the channel. And you can think of it sort of like a podcast. And I'm going to touch on multiple different things that's going on in the sport right now, whether it's a fight, whether it's some news that's going on. And I'm calling this the MMA Discussion. And this is brought to you by Chris's MMA Universe. And this is the very first episode. So right now, what I kind of want to touch on, what I'm going to actually start off with, is Holm versus Raquel Pennington is actually canceled. There's something going on where Holm is, she ended up being injured. At first it was like undisclosed. Nobody knew what was going on. And she ended up making a video, really like a quick video, mentioning what was going on in it. And, mention what was going on with her, with the fight, her being forced to pull out. And I guess there's something going on with a torn ligament that was attached to her hamstring. According to her, according to what she said in the video. And so I guess she was forced to pull out. And she said the good news is, and this is very good news actually, that she doesn't need surgery. But I guess, it being like a week away from the fight, or, like a little more than a week away, or actually less than a week away now. Like, it just being a week away wasn't long enough for it to heal, before she ended up going into that fight. Because, things could get a lot worse, and then she would definitely need surgery. So, she was apologizing to the fans, apologizing to Raquel Pennington. And, she was saying that fighter that she had tremendous respect for. And, it just really sucks. And she ended up touching on this, saying that, it just sucks when you go through an entire training camp and, you have to pull out just like a week before, So she just wanted to apologize to the fans, apologize to Raquel Pennington, because I don't think they're going to sub anybody for Holm to go against Raquel Pennington. So I guess they're going to wait until the fight is rebooked. Excuse me. So, I guess both girls are going to sit out until the fight is actually rebooked for the same opponent for each other. So, so that's what's going on with that. It's unfortunate. I really, really want to see that fight. I know a lot of you guys out there want to see that fight. But, it'll get rebooked and hopefully soon. Hopefully by the end of the year card, like one of the cards at the end of the year they'll end up being in, hopefully. And, with that fight alone can actually headline a fight night for sure. But to be actually in a main card, to actually kick off the main card that it was actually going to do for UFC 243 would have been great. I was very excited for it. I did make a video on it. If you didn't see it already, make sure you go back and check it out. It was just my thoughts and predictions. That was actually one of my latest videos that I've done. So if you haven't checked it out, you should go back and check it out. And even if you already did check it out, check it out again. Maybe you'll end up hearing something that you didn't hear the first time. But also what I want to talk about, what I want to touch on here is what's actually very, very good news is Colby Covington is actually going to fight Kamaru Usman now. Like, it's been officially made, officially booked, and I believe it's for UFC 245, which is in December, which is actually on the same card as Amanda Nunes fighting Durandamy. So I actually made a video on that as well, so make sure you go back and check that one out. But I'm assuming that the Amanda Nunes fight against Jermaine Durandamy is actually going to be probably the co-main event, and then it'll end up being the Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman as the main event. I'm just assuming. I don't know for sure. But that fight is, we were all told that it was going to happen, and then I guess it was looking like it wasn't going to happen. I also made a video on that, on it not happening, on my thoughts on that. And so you should definitely go back, check out the videos that I put. And because I did put a video out on that, so just make sure you check it out. But Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman is, it's just exciting. It's just a really exciting fight. It's just that, because they have it's like a bit of bad blood going back and forth. And, where I remember Colby Covington actually came out to disrupt Kamaru Usman's open workout when he was actually going to fight Tyrone Woodley, which was back in March of this year when he ended up winning the title. And, I guess Colby Covington looks at himself as the champion when, we all know he isn't. But, I guess he looks at himself as the interim champ, or he's saying that he's the champ, and, he's putting his belt up on the line, things that he says, the things that Colby Covington just says to make himself be noticed. And, I know he ends up calling Kamaru Usman Snoozman and Kamaru fake newsman, and, all this kind of stuff. So it's going to be really, really exciting to see that fight, seeing if Colby Covington can actually hold up with Kamaru Usman with the strength and, athleticism and just the conditioning and the wrestling that Kamaru Usman possesses. And honestly, I don't know if Colby Covington is actually going to win that fight. I really just don't know. He's really a toss-up for me. His last fight, when he ended up fighting not too long ago, and when he against Robbie Lawler, for those, I don't know if if everybody saw that fight, but I put some videos up about that as well. I put a prediction video and then a aftermath video, so definitely go back to check those out. But it was, everybody was saying Robbie Lawler was, definitely past his prime, which I do believe he is, and that he just didn't really seem like himself in that fight. And, Colby Covington was hitting him with some shots that weren't strong. They weren't power shots or anything, but, I don't know. Colby Covington definitely won, and he is definitely deserving of a title shot, seeing as how he was the interim champion. So, finally, Colby Covington accepted the fight, or I don't know who was out of it. I don't know exactly why it wasn't going to happen, but it's it's going to happen now. So, I know we're all excited. I'm very excited for that, and I know you guys are too. But yeah, it looks like it's gonna. It might headline UFC 245. So, that's not determined yet. That's not like nothing's in cement just yet as far as who's headlining what. But I know it is going to happen UFC 245 in December. So I'm excited for that. And also what I want to mention is, so it looks like DC wants a third fight with Stipe Miocic. So it looks like DC actually, he said he does want one more fight before he officially retires. And the only fight that makes sense right now for him, and out of any opponent, any fight, anything in the heavyweight division for DC, which he should just stick to, obviously, is against Stipe Miocic for the third time. They both got 1-1. DC knocked him out in the first fight, round 1, and then I believe it was round 4. Towards the end of round 4 that Stipe ended up putting DC away. So hopefully that fight does get made. I know I want to see it. I remember he was actually gonna fight John Jones. I guess everybody was assuming, and I guess he even said it himself. He said he wanted to fight John Jones one more time at light heavyweight, and the only thing that would have gave that fight credibility to even happen would have been if DC won that fight against Stipe. But, from him losing that fight against Stipe, it's just that whole chance of him fighting John Jones, even us discussing it as fans or us wanting it, us mentioning it, it just all evaporated. It just all disappeared in thin air because it holds no credibility now, especially not at heavyweight. But, I made a prediction video and a thoughts and opinion video on DC versus Stipe 2. And I also put a video up a while ago, actually, about if John Jones were to fight DC at heavyweight. But again, that holds no credibility now, so that's definitely not going to happen. The fans don't want to see it. I mean, I don't want to see that fight anymore because DC lost. The only thing that was holding that credibility was the fact that he was undefeated at heavyweight, and the only person he lost to at light heavy or in his MMA career, period, his professional MMA career, was against John Jones. So, and I know everybody wanted to see that at heavyweight, but who knows what would have happened if DC won? Maybe he would have fought him again. Maybe he would have fought him at light heavy. Maybe it would have been heavyweight. No one really knows. But now DC looks like he did say in an interview that he definitely wants a trilogy with Stipe. So it looks like that fight might happen. But Stipe is actually sitting out until 2020 because of the eye pokes that he endured, I guess, from DC in their last fight. So it looks like the first fight and second fight, DC was hitting Stipe with some eye pokes. No one knows if they were intentional. Who knows if they were or weren't. He did it in the first fight, did it in the last fight. DC is a much shorter, a much smaller fighter. I would say shorter fighter than Stipe. And not only is he shorter, but his reach is a lot shorter. So sometimes you throw punches, you extend your fingers when you shouldn't, but maybe DC was just doing it from natural reaction from training, or, who knows if that's a habit of his in training. But, he ended up poking Stipe in the first fight. I remember Stipe didn't want to speak on that. Anytime anyone asked him, he would just always say next question. So it looks like he's sitting out now, though, from the eye pokes. So he wants to heal up. And because I know Dana White was saying that Stipe needs to heal up. He endured a lot of damage in that fight. Yeah, he did win the fight. He ended up making a beautiful adjustment and ended up catching DC with some body strikes, where in an interview not too long ago, Stipe actually said he noticed the shift of the fight. He just felt it, and he felt like it was working for him. So, why not keep going back to it, And obviously it worked for him. He ended up putting DC away. And that'd be really great, though. That'd be a really great fight to happen again for the third time. It just makes sense. It makes sense. They're 1-1. And the great thing about having a 1-1 to go in for a rubber match is the fact that both of you guys have a win by way of KO. So the fact that they both finished each other is actually great for the both of them going in for a third fight. So, that's really, really exciting. But so the other thing that I actually want to speak on is Chris Weidman is actually going in for his light heavyweight debut against Dominic Reyes. Now, I don't want to really touch on that fight too much. I really just kind of want to talk about how, because I believe they're fighting in October, and it's actually a fight night for Chris Weidman versus Dominic Reyes. They're headlining that fight night. And actually, Chris Weidman actually said in an interview where he actually mentioned that John Jones is beatable, and he actually feels that he will beat John Jones. He says that, that his Brazilian jiu-jitsu, his wrestling, the pace he keeps, and, he has everything that he feels can beat John Jones, and he would love to fight John Jones and beat John Jones and shock the world for a second time, where, he would be in the position where he was against Anderson Silva, where, for those of you that don't know, which I'm sure everybody does out there, where Chris Weidman shocked the entire world and actually beat Anderson Silva, but not only beat him, went in there and knocked him out. And then ended up having an immediate rematch where Silva was just like a freak accident, where he ended up breaking his leg with a leg kick that he threw to Chris Weidman. But So it looks like Chris Weidman was saying that he knows he can beat Jon Jones. He would definitely beat him, and he would definitely shock the world again. And, for his legacy, that's what he wants for his legacy, to be the man who shocked the world not once but twice against the two greats in the sport. And honestly, first of all, let's see if you could get past Dominic Reyes, Chris. Let's see if Chris Weidman can get past Dominic Reyes, which is a very tall order, a very tough task in front of him. So let's try and get past that first. Now, he was saying when he goes in there and beats Dominic Reyes that he would love for Jon Jones to be the next opponent, but why would that even be? You're in your light heavyweight debut in the UFC. Why would you even get a title shot next? But we don't know what the UFC does, right? But I feel like right now, Jon Jones has a lot of other opponents that he can take that will make a lot more numbers. He will make a lot more money. The UFC will benefit and profit from it much more than if he were to fight Chris Weidman. Now, I know a lot of fans will probably want to see that fight because of what Chris Weidman did to Anderson Silva, but we all got to remember, that was a long time ago. That was back in 2013. I mean, Chris Weidman is no longer the same fighter. I mean, I'm glad he's moving up to light heavy now because, now he's not going to be as drained to where he have to cut all that tremendous amount of weight to get down to 185. So now he's ended up, going to be going in there at 205. I don't see him beating Jon Jones at all. I know Jon Jones put out a quick video, I believe, on his Instagram. Not 100% sure, but not too long ago, actually. I think just either today or yesterday, he ended up putting the video out. Just saying, he said he was checking out the MMA news and he heard the interview with Chris Weidman, or he watched it, and it was just saying, just stop it. Like, stop it, Chris. Like, you don't want to fight me. Like, he was kind of saying it in like a kind of like joking way. But Chris Weidman, I believe, should get through Dominic Reyes if he can. Well, Dominic Reyes is an undefeated fighter right now. So he needs to get through Dominic Reyes. And then I believe he should fight at least two more opponents after that in light heavy and win in a impressive fashion. To actually dominate the fighters and win by, way of KO or submission, just finish them in an impressive fashion, in a devastating fashion, in order to even be in the talks to fight Jon Jones. That's what I believe should be done, but we all know how the UFC operates, where, we really don't know what's going to happen. I mean, just look at the welterweight division right now. It's a mess there. So, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I just wanted to touch on that really quick because I heard that in an interview not too long ago. So I just wanted to let you guys know. And so, there's actually something that I actually want to talk about really quick. And this is all right. So there's a fight going on, I believe it's November 2nd. And it's Kevin Gastelum versus Darren Till. Now, there was some things I saw out there where Kevin Gastelum fighting Darren Till, people were saying, are they rushing Darren Till? Is Darren Till being rushed? I believe Darren Till should be a middleweight fighter. I mean, he was a really big welterweight, but he was being too drained going down to that weight class, I believe. According to him, he was able to make the weight cut when everybody didn't think he was going to, when he went against Tyron Woodley. And, he ended up actually making 169. So, he made the weight cut. He was doing everything smart to be able to make that weight cut. But I still believe he's a little too big, where he really needed to make that stretch to 185. But I guess people think that he's being rushed going up against Kevin Gastelum. Now, being rushed, to say that Darren Till's being rushed doesn't really make sense because he was already rushed. Darren Till went up against Tyron Woodley going into that fight in the welterweight division, to not get confused. And he went into that fight, I believe, 17-0 and got spanked. I mean, Darren Till got washed in that fight. It was actually embarrassing. You know, he got, and I'm not trying to rain on Darren Till here. I don't want everybody to think that. Hats off to Darren Till for even taking that fight, believing he could win. I mean, that's how you're supposed to go into a title fight. But he went against Tyron Woodley and got destroyed. You know, they always try to rush these young prospects into fights against, you know, the champion, which is, like the eye of the beast, right? Like, you're going up against the guy that's the king of that division. You know, he's the king of the throne. And he's sitting at the throne. You're going to fight him as a young prospect, maybe not ready just yet. And they threw him at him anyway. And look what happened. And then after that, you know, he ended up fighting Jorge Masvidal and got KO'd. I mean, it was devastating. So, you know, for him to go up to middleweight, I do believe is a correct move. But maybe they are rushing him again in the middleweight division, going up against a killer like Kevin Gastelum. Excuse me. But, you know, we'll see what happens, right? I mean, November 2nd, I believe that fight is going down. Darren Till versus, Kevin Gastelum versus Darren Till. And I do believe Darren Till is going to be biting off a little bit more than he can chew. I know he's a much longer, bigger fighter than Kevin Gastelum. And it doesn't really matter. Kevin Gastelum is a monster. So that fight is very exciting. I can't wait to see that fight. I don't think Darren Till will be able to pull it off. I believe that he's going to go in there with not much changed. I believe if Darren Till, well, you know what? Darren Till actually has one of the top coaches, like one of the top teams. So I just believe that they can teach him a little bit more. You know, going there with different strategies, different game plans, going there with a plan B, you know? And Kevin Gastelum, you know, I know he's going to be going in there hungry for the middleweight bout because he just lost against, you know, Izzy in his last fight. And, you know, and that was for the interim title to actually get a shot at Robert Whittaker. But, I mean, we all got to remember, Kevin Gastelum came from welterweight as well. You know, he ended up coming from welterweight because I remember he was at middleweight. He was on Ultimate Fighter as a middleweight fighter, went to welterweight, and then now he's back up at middleweight. So these are two former welterweight fighters where Kevin Gastelum's actually going back up to his original weight class where I believe is best for him. And then now Darren Till's going up to a weight class where I believe is better for him as well. So, you know, we're going to see what happens. And I can't wait to see that fight, though. I'm really excited for it. And the last thing I believe that I want to touch on, that I don't know if all you guys know this, but it looks like the UFC, Dana White and the UFC are making a BMF belt. They're making a BMF belt. Now, the BMF belt is going to be given to the winner of the Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz fight. Excuse me. Sorry. So it looks like the winner of that fight is going to get this BMF belt. Now, the BMF stands for, excuse my language, but bad motherfucker. So it looks like whoever wins this fight is going to be the baddest man in the game, or, whatever they consider themselves to be, but as long as bad motherfuckers in front of it. So this belt, I don't know if it's a good idea. This just really seems like to me, I believe it feels like it's being watered down a little. Like why are you making this fake belt that holds no weight whatsoever? It means nothing. This belt means nothing. It means nothing at all. It's something that the UFC just invented on a whim. It's not an interim title. It's not an actual title. Why are you having this belt? Now, I'm actually very shocked that Dana White decided to even make this belt. So he wanted to make this belt, but didn't want to make a 165-pound division? You're making a belt for the winner of the Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz fight. Why? Like, I understand that they want to make this fight, like, huge. Because, I mean, Nate Diaz is definitely a needle mover. And for him to fight Jorge Masvidal now is actually going to be, I mean, at least on paper, is going to be a great fight. Two men that were at lightweight, moving up to welterweight to go at it. And, you know, two absolute gangsters in the sport going after it. But for a make-believe belt. I mean, that's what it is, right? I mean, some people even call the interim title a make-believe belt. But that's an actual title. The BMF belt is what you're fighting for. I mean, this reminds me of when Floyd Mayweather fought Conor McGregor, and then they made a money belt. They made a money belt for that fight. So the winner of that fight was going to get this money belt. Now, supposedly, I don't really know exactly how much that belt was worth. And I'm talking about the money belt, the Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather fight belt. And I believe they were saying it was somewhere around $8 to $10 million. And I remember hearing Chael Sonnen actually saying something about this, where he actually said that he was able to see that belt, that he actually could have grabbed it and it would have been called the Chael Sonnen belt. And he remembered actually seeing it up close, and this thing was like a plastic toy. It was like, you know, supposedly there was emeralds on it, you know, diamonds on it, there was a whole bunch of jewels on it and stuff like that, and it was supposed to be worth $8 to $10 million. But in all actuality, it was actually fake. That it was a fake belt that they made to actually, I don't know, I guess give some credibility to the fight, because it was such a high magnitude fight that it just would have been better if you had some type of trophy to give to the winner. Now, it's kind of sad because the name of that belt was actually Floyd Mayweather's nickname. Floyd Money Mayweather. It was kind of like they were making the belt to give to Floyd at the end of the fight. There was no way anybody in the boxing world was going to allow Conor McGregor to win that fight. Now, whether Conor McGregor knew that or not going in, that's not the point here. And that's actually not what I'm trying to even touch on. What I'm just saying is that there were scorecards that you're able to see that Conor McGregor was winning rounds on Floyd Mayweather, where I believe he hurt Floyd Mayweather in round 9. And he was saved by the bird. The referee stopped it to make sure. The referee was in there working for Floyd. There was no way Conor McGregor was going to win that fight. It just wasn't going to happen. Like I said, whether Conor knows it or not, doesn't matter. He just wasn't going to do it. He was not going to win that fight, no matter what. And for people to say this drives me insane. That people would actually say that Floyd Mayweather was carrying Conor McGregor. That's just the biggest insult I've ever heard to anybody in the sport. Conor McGregor was doing better than world-class boxers did against Floyd. As his very first pro boxing fight, Conor McGregor was doing a great, fantastic job. Conor McGregor whooped Floyd Mayweather's ass as Floyd Mayweather whooped Conor McGregor's ass right back. Excuse me. They whooped each other's ass. Floyd definitely won. He got the better of of Conor McGregor and ended the fight in round 10. But Conor McGregor was doing great, and for people to say that Floyd was doing that on purpose is just insane to me. I'm not trying to have you guys give me backlash on this. I'm not trying. I know I'm going to get some backlash. I know you guys are going to say whatever you guys want to say about what I'm saying about this fight. It's not really even the big fight that I'm actually trying to touch on anyway. But I just don't believe that people would say that Floyd was actually carrying Conor McGregor. It's just insane to me. So back to the BMF belt. It's just I just can't believe they're making this fake belt for this fight, I guess. I mean, are they gonna continue with this belt? Like, is it gonna go from different weight classes now? Like, is it just gonna be for specific fights? Is it just for this fight alone? I don't really know all the details. I'm sure they're gonna come out with more. And the picture I put up, it's just what I was able to find on it. I'm pretty sure that's not the way it's going to look. But hopefully Dana White will come out with it soon and show everyone, just reveal it to everybody. I'm not sure if they're done with it yet. But, I just want to know what you guys think about, everything I touched on here. What do you guys think about me doing more videos like this? I'm actually going to come out with more videos like this from time to time. And, this is the very first episode, so it's something I'm trying out. I believe I'm going to, keep doing these, like I said, from time to time. So smash the like button. Let me know what you guys think in the comments on anything I spoke on here. Make sure to go back and check out all my other videos on things that I spoke about here, where I did a few videos on something that I touched on. And make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you leave a like. Make sure you share. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a video. And make sure you subscribe. And I'll see all you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you guys again.